You can like someone deeply and still feel exhausted after being with them. That confusion is where a lot of quiet people start blaming themselves. Because if the person is kind, safe, funny, and familiar, why do you still need to recover afterward? Why does your body act like it ran a marathon? You leave a good conversation and feel strangely heavy. Nothing went wrong, yet your mind keeps moving like it missed the ending. That is one of the hardest kinds of tiredness to explain. It happens in pleasant rooms, around people you would choose again. You laugh, respond, listen, and stay present. Then later, usually when the room is quiet, the real cost begins to arrive. Your shoulders drop all at once. Your thoughts get louder instead of softer. And suddenly you are not just tired. You're overstimulated, emotionally full, mentally crowded, and weirdly fragile over a completely normal interaction. A lot of sensitive people know this feeling by heart. They just do not always have language for it. They think, maybe I am antisocial. Maybe I am ungrateful. Maybe I am too much work for my own life. But what drains you is not always dislike. Sometimes it is the amount of internal activity happening while you're with someone, even someone you love. You are not only talking. You are tracking tone, reading pauses, noticing shifts, adjusting yourself, and feeling the atmosphere in real time. Other people leave a conversation with the conversation. You often leave with the entire emotional weather report still running in your system. That is why 10 easy minutes can feel longer than an hour should. Your mind is processing more than the moment seems to contain. You hear the words, but you also hear the weight under the words. You notice what changed in their face before they noticed it themselves. You catch the tiny hesitation before a sentence. You register the disappointment hidden under a joke. And he made you all of this so automatically that it does not feel like work. But your nervous system still pays for it. That is the hidden thing. The drain is not always caused by conflict, pressure, or bad company. Sometimes the drain comes from being deeply open, while also deeply aware. It comes from receiving more than most people realize they are receiving. Even when the interaction is warm, your system is still sorting through sound, expression, expectation, rhythm, subtext, and your own responses. That is a lot of moving pieces. It is like sitting in a calm-looking room with 10 tabs open in your brain. Nothing is crashing, but everything is drawing power. You may look relaxed on the outside. Inside, you are subtly managing pace, closeness, meaning, and emotional safety the whole time. That is why some people can spend all day around others and still feel fine. Their attention lands, engages, and lets go more easily. Yours does not always let go. Yours lingers. It keeps replaying the moment in little fragments. The smile after that sentence, the silence before that answer, the thing you almost said. By night, the interaction is somehow still in the room with you. You are in bed, but your mind is back in the kitchen, the car, the coffee shop. You hear your own voice and wonder if it sounded off. You remember their face and wonder if they were more tired than they said. This is where a lot of mental exhaustion gets mislabeled. People call it overthinking, but that word can sound shallow and dismissive. What is often happening is overprocessing. Your mind is not being dramatic. It is being active long after the event is over. And if you are a person who values getting people right, that process can become relentless. You want to understand what was felt, not just what was said. So even a nice dinner can leave residue. Even a sweet text exchange can create mental echo. You are not drained because the connection was fake. You are drained because the connection was real enough to enter your system. That is an important difference. Sensitive people are not only affected by pain. They are affected by contact, meaningful contact, emotional contact, sensory contact, prolonged contact. Being around people you like can actually lower your guard, and when your guard lowers, you absorb even more. You may stop bracing, but you start opening. That opening feels good in the moment and expensive later. This is why you can leave people you love and still need silence immediately. Not because they were too much, but because you were so available. You were listening with your full face. You were feeling with your full body. You were taking in their excitement, their stress, their stories, their pace, their little disappointments, and the version of yourself that comes alive around them. That is a lot to carry home. Sometimes the exhaustion does not even arrive right away. You get through the dinner, the visit, the phone call, the gathering, and think you are fine. Then hours later, you crash for no obvious reason. Your brain turns foggy, your patience disappears, and your body feels like it is sinking inward. Delayed exhaustion confuses people because it disconnects the cause from the feeling, but sensitive nervous systems often respond on a lag. You stay regulated while you need to. Then your body waits until you are finally alone to show you the bill. That is why the drive home can feel so strange. The social part is over, but your system is still unwinding layer by layer. You turn the music down. You stare ahead. You do not even want anything dramatic. You just want less input. And when you finally get home, there is often one deep breath that feels almost emotional, like your whole body had been holding itself together in ways you did not notice. That moment matters. It reveals something people often miss. Draining interactions are not always the loud ones. Sometimes the most draining moments are the ones where you were trying to be fully present, fully kind, and fully attuned. You were not performing. You were sincerely there. But sincerity takes energy when your awareness is high. It asks more of your mind than people can see. There is also the pressure of wanting good people to feel good around you. That sounds generous, but it can become another silent job. So while someone is talking, one part of you is listening. Another part is checking whether they feel heard. Another part is making sure your response lands well. Another part is tracking whether the mood just shifted half an inch. This is how a simple hangout becomes layered labor. Not fake labor, invisible labor. You are carrying the conversation and carrying yourself inside it. That double load is exhausting. And because you usually do it quietly, other people assume it comes naturally and costs nothing. They see your calm, not your inner speed. That mismatch can make you feel lonely in very ordinary relationships. People enjoy your presence without realizing how much energy it takes to produce it. So you start saying things like, "I had a great time, I'm just tired." And even that sentence feels too small for what it means. Because tired is not always the word. Sometimes you are saturated. Sometimes your thoughts feel packed too tightly. Sometimes your skin feels like it wants distance before your heart does. That can be especially painful with people you love. You want closeness, but your system cannot stay open forever. So you end up in that strange place where affection and fatigue live side by side. You miss people and need a break from them at the same time. That does not make your love shallow. It means your connection style has a real energetic cost. Highly aware people often spend extra energy on context. They do not just experience a moment, they experience the meaning around it. A friend says, "I am fine," and you hear the tiredness underneath. A partner says, "No worries," and you still sense the slight disappointment. Now your mind has more than words to process. It has layers. Layers are beautiful when you are writing, creating, loving, or understanding people. They are exhausting when your system never fully stops reading them. That is why crowded places can drain you before a real conversation even begins. Your brain is already scanning voices, faces, movement, noise, and emotional tension in the room. Then someone you like starts talking to you, and you want to give them your best attention. But your battery was already being used in the background. By the time the actual connection starts, part of your energy is gone. This is also why some people wake up tired before the day has even asked much of them. Their system never fully powered down overnight. The body rested, maybe. The mind kept sorting. It sorted unresolved feelings, old conversations, tomorrow's interactions, facial expressions, unfinished thoughts, and tiny emotional leftovers from the day before. Morning arrives, and the inner room is already occupied. Then the world asks for more presence, more smiling, more replying, more listening, more adapting. And because you can do it, people think you are fine. Competence hides depletion better than almost anything. You answer texts thoughtfully. You show up. You notice birthdays. You ask good questions. You remember details. You stay gentle even when you are afraid. That kind of person often gets admired and quietly drained at the same time. Their depth makes them lovable, but it also makes life heavier. There is another layer here that rarely gets named. Some people do not just spend energy around others. They brace against never fully relaxing. Even with safe people, part of them stays slightly alert, not fearful, just aware. Aware of timing, tone, facial cues, possible misunderstandings, the flow of closeness, the possibility of saying too much, and the effort of staying emotionally coherent. That tiny alertness is expensive over time. So when people say, "But you were just sitting and talking," it can feel absurd, because externally, yes, that is all that happened. Internally, 1,000 subtle adjustments were happening every few seconds. That is why your body feels the aftermath. And the aftermath is real. The heavy eyes, the quiet irritability, the need to sit in a dim room, the sudden inability to answer one more message. Sometimes you feel guilty for needing space from people you genuinely cherish, but space is not always rejection. Sometimes space is repair. Sometimes it is the only way your nervous system can return to neutral. You are not stepping away because the connection was meaningless. You are stepping away because it mattered enough to move through you. That is the paradox sensitive people live with. The richer the experience, the longer the recovery. And recovery is not weakness, it is maintenance. Some minds can flow through contact and come back unchanged. Yours leaves fingerprints on itself. You keep pieces of moments longer than most people do, not because you are stuck, but because you are permeable. That permeability can make you kind, intuitive, and emotionally precise. It can also make ordinary life feel like repeated exposure. So the goal was not to romanticize being drained. Exhaustion is not proof of depth, and suffering is not a personality type. But it is honest to admit that awareness has weight. Attention has weight. Emotional openness has weight. If you are always taking in more than you release, eventually even good things start to feel heavy. Not because they are bad, but because they keep accumulating. That is why your peace can feel so specific. You do not just want rest, you want uncluttered rest. A quiet kitchen, a dim lamp, no one needing anything from your face. No pressure to read a room, no pressure to respond beautifully, no pressure to keep sensing everything at once. Just a few minutes where your inner world stops receiving and starts settling. That kind of silence can feel almost medicinal. And if that is what you crave after being with people you like, it does not mean something is broken in your relationships. It means your system needs recovery that matches its depth. You may never be the person who can socialize for hours and bounce back instantly. You may always need more space than people expect. That does not make you cold. It makes your inner life expensive to run. Once you understand that, shame starts losing its grip. You stop making every form of fatigue into a moral failure. You stop asking, what is wrong with me for needing so much time alone? You start asking, what kind of mind have I been carrying without enough protection? That question changes the tone completely. It replaces self-judgment with accurate observation. And accurate observation is often the first form of relief. Not instant relief, but real relief. Because being drained around people you like does not mean your heart is closed. Sometimes it means your heart stays open longer than your body can comfortably sustain. It means your mind keeps listening after the room goes quiet. It means you feel more than the moment seems to require. You are not difficult for needing to come home and exhale. You are not distant for going silent after closeness. You may simply be one of those people whose nervous system keeps detailed records, and detailed records take time to file away. So if you have spent years wondering why good company can still leave you worn out, here is the quieter truth. You were never weak for feeling drained. You were carrying more of the moment than anyone could see, and your exhaustion was not imaginary. It was the price of being deeply, genuinely there.